Good afternoon and welcome to the New York City Council hearing of the Committee on Parks and Recreation. At this time, can everybody please silence your cell phones? If you wish to testify, please go to the back of the room to fill out a testimony slip. At this time and going forward, no one is to approach the dais. I repeat, no one is to approach the dais. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Thank you so much, Sergeant. Good afternoon, everyone. It's so nice to see you all here. Thank you for joining us today for our Parks Committee hearing on improving the maintenance of park bathrooms and drinking fountains, a critical issue across our city, where we will also be hearing a bill by my colleague, Councilmember Susan Zhuang, in relation to requiring the Parks Department to report on the staffing levels for Park Enforcement Patrol or PEP officers and park rangers. I want to thank you all for joining today as we examine these critical issues that pertain directly to the infrastructure and safety of our park systems. Bathrooms and water fountains are the universal public good that makes our parks usable, it makes our city usable and accessible. This is something that it not only is critical to our parks, but we're hearing more and more conversation, and we've done work in the city council to increase access to public restrooms across the city. By definition, if we are increasing access to public restrooms across the city, then we have to do so in our parks as well. We are talking about a basic public good. These features are what make our parks a safe community hub. It strengthens their ability to be a place where New Yorkers can come together. Since I've been Parks Chair, and for years before, I've argued that the Parks Department continues to be denied enough resources to fund their most basic functions. We've seen the effects of administration after administration failing us and not fulfilling the promise of funding the Parks Department at 1%. Year after year, where we have to fight tooth and nail to preserve the things we know are the most basic elements of the system, such as maintaining staff levels or tree pruning cycles. This is an issue that, frankly, we should have already addressed, and we should be talking about how much we can be expanding access, not only to public restrooms, but expanding and increasing investments in our parks. Instead, we are here talking about how we invest to make sure our parks have the basic services that they need and we deserve. We could be and we should be dreaming bigger with our parks and green spaces. But because we don't get the funding we deserve, we also fail our parks workers and are stuck working to stretch a very small budget. Not adequately maintaining or funding our parks' bathrooms and water fountains is an issue that also hurts our workers. It hurts our parks' maintenance and quality of parks' bathrooms across the city. Clean, safe, and accessible public restrooms in the city's parks are non-negotiable. This is a matter of equity and accessibility. Over 700 restrooms are in the care of the Parks Department, and the job of keeping them accessible and in good working order is staggering. And I want to thank in particular our parks workers who day in and day out clean our parks, make them safe, clean the bathrooms, make sure they stay open. They are doing so much for so many with so little. And that is what we need to address in the city. Last year, the City Council conducted an investigation of parks bathrooms and how New Yorkers feel about their conditions. The investigation examined 102 parks bathrooms throughout the 5 boroughs and focused on the cleanliness, conditions, functionality, safety, and accessibility of each one. These locations were chosen based on constituent complaints received by council member offices. The investigation's results showed the effects of an underfunded system, finding that 68 of 102 inspected restrooms were closed. Oh, sure. All right. We'll take a break here in case anyone has to use the bathroom.
Can I get an audio check for the Zoom, please? Audio check for the Zoom.
All good.
Thank you. You can continue.
Ready? All right. We are back on track. Before continuing with my opening statement, I'm going to recognize our colleagues here today because I know we have a number of things happening at the same time this afternoon. We've been joined by council members Nycc, Zhuang, Lee, Menon, and Councilmember Holden on Zoom. And Councilmember Ung is walking in right now. And that should be it so far. All right. So, New Yorkers, so the investigation's results show that we have the effects of an underfunded system, finding that 68 of 102 inspected restrooms were closed or found to have health or safety issues, including litter in 40%, unsanitary conditions in 23%, a lack of garbage cans in 30%, and only 8% of restrooms being equipped with menstrual product bins, and 25% missing baby changing stations. New Yorkers rely on our parks for us, for our families, and our green space as a place to form community and get together. And they lose accessibility when there's no clean restroom, when it's not open when it should be, when your child's diaper needs to be changed, as I've experienced myself in a park, or your park doesn't have a trash can in the restroom. And I want to be clear, our Parks Department is doing all it can with the resources it has. This is a larger systemic failure where we have not recognized the importance of investing in our parks. And when we don't do that, when we fail to consistently do so, and my hope and expectation is that changes sooner than later, it not only affects the experience for all New Yorkers, but it affects the ability of our parks workers to do their jobs. These bills today go to the heart of keeping our parks safe and clean. And if they're not safe and clean, then I'm not quite sure how we keep our city safe and clean. These are all basic necessities we're talking about. The council did a similar analysis and report when it came to the conditions of water fountains. The Parks Department maintains over 3,500 outdoor fountains. Councilmember Brewer and staff from her office analyzed the condition of 216 drinking fountains in her district, including Central Park, parts of Riverside Park, and various playgrounds. The survey found that the 17 of the water fountains were broken and without any water flow. Further, 20% of fountains in playgrounds did not work. And finally, 17 locations that were listed as having water fountains and city materials did not actually have water fountains present. This is clearly an unacceptable situation, and efforts have been made to try and improve it, stretching a thin budget to do better in the long term. For example, the council has passed numerous bills recently to require diaper changing stations in parks bathrooms, require reports on bathrooms that failed inspection, require online information, and also to report on the various conditions of bathrooms in parks. These are necessary and good steps that we must take, but we also need to address the underlying problem. That's what today's hearing is about. It is an issue that affects every aspect of our park system and everyone who works in it or uses our parks. Our Parks Department is strangled in a mess of underfunding, and it's hurting the heart of our city, our children, our neighbors, and the space that all of us use that make our city such a green and colorful place to be. Today, we are also considering a piece of legislation, as I mentioned before, sponsored by my colleague, Councilmember Susan Zhuang, that would require the Parks Department to submit a quarterly report on the staffing levels of PEP officers and park rangers, as well as the incidents responded to by PEP officers and rangers at city parks. This is a common sense bill that would better our parks. Concerns have long been raised regarding the lack of sufficient numbers of PEP officers assigned to keep our parks safe and enforce the rules throughout the park system, and a lack of transparency regarding where such officers are assigned. You have probably heard at our hearings in the past the deep inequity when it comes to the number of PEP officers, not only per park in the city, but per borough, vastly underrepresenting how many officers we actually need in our parks across the city. This bill will make sure that policymakers and residents alike know where PEP officers are located and how many there are at given times, so we can understand how best not only to allocate resources, but also to improve resources to support our PEP officers and park rangers. I look forward to exploring this bill and the issues regarding park maintenance in greater detail today, and I welcome and thank the administration and advocates who have come to participate in this hearing. I'm now going to turn it over to Councilmember Zhuang to make an opening statement about her legislation today.
Thank you, Chair.
First of all, I want to thank parks officers, parks rangers with very limited resources to keep our parks safe. Thank you. And also, I want to thank Chair Krishna to co-sponsor this bill. When I spoke to the park department, they made it clear. The intention of PEP officers and the park rangers will not respond to crime. Yes, I understand that. But we miss the large part of concept of safety. Safety is also about crime prevention. Our PEP officers and park rangers conduct programming in our parks. They are trained to engage with our community. Research is stated to show engaging community members is one way to prevent the crime. I actually print these articles here. And also, this summer, my district parks has a lot of reckless moped drivers and violence with a stabbing at one of my most used park. I called parks. I saw 2 PEP officers there one time. When they showed up, all the mopeds and the dirt bikes left. Finally, I got the information from a lot of internal resources. We only have four PEP officers in whole Brooklyn Borough. Maybe the number will be different, but the information I get is 4. Interestingly, some borough actually has more. And also, I personally see some nicer area. I actually see PEP officers, but I only see one time in my district by living there more than decades. And my kids also go to the park and we never see PEP officers there because I know it's not enough. But this is the issue in our city. There's no transparency, and our constituents also deserve to know where all the PEP officers, where the park rangers, which park they are, where the personnel are staffed throughout the borough, and we need to understand why. Our council is fighting for funding to allow parks to do their job, but we must to know where the problems before we resolve it. Safe Parks for NYC Intro 1425 will require Parks Department to report the information and let us know where the resources are and what is available. Parks are our New Yorkers' backyard. Our children and our seniors fill these parks on beautiful days. This space deserves financial investment and thoughtful commitment from staff who can help bring the community together in positive, safe, and healthy ways. By the end, I want to thank everyone being here, especially our activists, and also I want to thank my co-sponsor, Chair Krishna, and especially thanks for our DC 37 and the local 983 who are supporting my bill, Safe Parks for NYC. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Council Member. And now I'll turn it over to our committee council to swear in our witnesses from the Parks Department today.
Thank you, Chair. Would the representatives of the Parks Department please raise your right hand if you're able? Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this committee today and to respond honestly to council member questions?
I do.
Thank you very much. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you so much, and you may now begin with the opening statement.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Chair Krishnan, members of the Parks Committee, and other council members. My name is Mark Folk, and I am pleased to serve as the acting First Deputy Commissioner for New York City Parks. Joining me today are various members of the agency leadership, including Assistant Commissioner for Urban Park Service, Asha Harris, Chief of Citywide Legislative Affairs, Matt Drury, Director of the Parks Inspection Program, Alex Butler, and Director of the Urban Park Rangers, Bonnie McGuire. We are pleased to be here before you today to discuss the maintenance of parks' public restrooms and drinking fountains. The parks and open space under our care are enjoyed by New Yorkers across the city daily and our dedicated staff work tirelessly to keep them clean and in the best possible condition, including amenities such as restrooms and drinking fountains. As the chair mentioned, New York City Parks maintains over 3,400 exterior drinking fountains, making us far and away the largest provider of clean, safe, free drinking waters for New Yorkers. Our dedicated staff works extremely hard to keep them in good working repair. We display the locations of drinking fountains on a map hosted on our agency website, along with information about other amenities to help New Yorkers stay cool in the summer. We incorporate new and replacement drinking fountains into the design of capital projects, making sure they are located to best serve park visitors, whether it's kids at a playground on a hot day or a jogger taking a break. Since our drinking fountains experience heavy use, they do occasionally go out of service, but our talented parks trade staff make repairs as quickly as possible. To illustrate this, we reviewed the availability of working drinking fountains in a typical summer week, the busiest time for parks. We randomly chose the second weekend of August in 2025. As peak temperatures rose to the low 90s, only 3% of our 3,400 drinking fountains required work, meaning that 97% of drinking fountains were fully operational. It is also worth noting that over 20% of those fountains were repaired within 7 days, and an additional 50% were repaired within a month. As cold weather is approaching each year, our staff undertakes a massive effort to turn off and drain, or what is called winterize, all outdoor drinking fountains so the pipes can survive the freezing temperatures. When warm weather returns, we reverse the process, we turn on or reactivate all drinking fountains so thirsty New Yorkers can find relief. Speaking of relief, we fully recognize and appreciate the access to well-maintained public restrooms is absolutely necessary. New York City is proud to be the largest provider of public restrooms in New York City by far, as we operate, as the chair said, over 700 restroom buildings, the locations of which are displayed on the agency's website. These buildings host more than 1,400 individual restrooms, most of which are typically offer multiple stalls and fixtures. We are pleased to share that over the last 4 years, Parks has completed construction on 25 new public restroom buildings and 22 renovations of public restroom buildings. Additionally, we have 45 new projects and 41 renovations actively working their way through the capital project. This is a total of 131 new or renovated public restroom buildings. We also have dozens of more restrooms in the planning and discussion phase. Restroom access is vital to New Yorkers, and we're delivering, using innovative initiatives and partnerships to build these vital public resources more efficiently and quickly. For example, we are advancing several restroom projects using prefabricated modular units, which can be constructed more quickly. Earlier this year, we piloted 5 prefab loos, which are single occupancy restrooms that can be used year-round and are built at a fraction of the standard cost. Nearly all of our public restrooms are open 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and are available for anyone to use for free. Keeping them clean and safe is our top priority. Even on holidays, like this coming Thanksgiving, staff will work to ensure that restrooms are clean, stocked, and well-maintained. As a general practice, Parks restrooms are cleaned by staff at numerous points throughout the day, and if damage is observed, our expert trades make repairs. Turning again to that second week in August of 2025 as a useful snapshot of our peak season, we assessed the conditions of our park restroom during that week, just as we did for drinking fountains. Setting aside restrooms undergoing or awaiting capital projects, out of our portfolio of 700 public restroom buildings, only 29 or 4% were found to be temporarily closed for repairs or otherwise in need of repair. Sadly, I will note that 7 of those 29 closures were due to vandalism, which is unfortunately becoming an increasingly common reason for closures. And if you will oblige me, I will depart from my prepared testimony here to give you some updated data. This past weekend alone, Saturday and Sunday, we had 14 public restrooms that were closed. 10 of those 14 were closed due to vandalism or illegal drug use. This spanned all 5 boroughs, I'll just give you some examples. In Queens, we had all the windows broken out on a men's restroom from kids throwing rocks at it. 2 instances of illegal drug use, as I mentioned. In Staten Island, an entire men's room was vandalized with all the partitions being ripped off the wall. In the Bronx, we had a restroom that all the plumbing was stripped out of both the men's and women's side. Brooklyn, vandalism to a door. Those are just some examples. But again, in this past weekend, 14 public restrooms were closed, which again is only 1% of our 1,400 restrooms, but 10 of those were related to vandalism and illegal drug use. So again, to recap, during the second week in August in 2025, a hot summer week and the busiest time of year for our parks, only 3% of our fountains and 4% of our public restroom buildings were temporarily closed or in need of repair. As we all know, parks restrooms are intensively used and some sites can be challenging to maintain. The condition of any restroom can vary throughout the day, depending on the ebb and flow of park uses, staffing patterns, and other factors. The reality is that a public restroom can go from clean to unacceptable in moments, especially given that these facilities are subject to inappropriate usage and, as we just discussed, vandalism. Despite these challenges, we're extremely proud that the inspections led by our Parks Inspection Program reflect over 90% acceptable ratings for both litter and amenities at our public restrooms citywide. The rigorous data-driven Parks Inspection Program, otherwise known as PIP, is independently administered by our Operations and Management Planning Division. The condition of parks and parks features, including drinking fountains and restrooms, is subject to over 6,000 detailed inspections throughout the year. The results of these inspections, alongside 311 reports and staff observations, are shared with management to inform decisions about resource allocation. In line with the agency's longstanding commitment to transparency, historic PIP data for individual parks are available on our public website, in addition to citywide and borough performance data. Detailed line item inspection data, including information about individual public restrooms inspection, is also available on the NYC Open Data Portal. In addition to the agency's park inspection program, our park supervisors also conduct regular inspections of parks and amenities they oversee. Further, the consistent presence of parks maintenance staff allows us to identify and address problematic conditions and concern in a timely manner. Turning to the topic of the legislation being discussed today, Introduction 1425 would require the creation of a report on staffing levels of our Parks Enforcement Patrol officers and urban park rangers. The safety of our patrons, parks, and public facilities is our highest priority. Our staff works hard to enforce public rules and make sure park visitors are safe and comfortable. This is primarily the purview of our agency's Parks Enforcement Patrol, also known as PEP, whose enforcement efforts generally focus on quality of life offenses and deterring patrons from violating parks rules through education. They are empowered to issue summonses for violations on parks property, including those related to street trees, and have the authority to make arrests when necessary, as they are designated as New York State peace officers and NYC special patrolmen. Though they do not carry firearms, our PEP officers are equipped with ballistic vests, batons, handcuffs, and pepper spray as they patrol by bike, horseback, car, and on foot. To amplify our ongoing effort to recruit and hire new PEP officers, I'm pleased to share the agency just launched a new marketing campaign, including printed materials and subway ads based on the theme, Protecting Parks, Protecting People, Building Trust. We would welcome the Council's partnership in helping us get the word out to New Yorkers about these great job opportunities, and would be happy to share these materials electronically for your offices to pass on to constituents through social media and district newsletters. Alongside our PEP team, our agency also fields a corps of urban park rangers who, like their Parks Enforcement Patrol counterparts, are also designated as special patrolmen and New York State peace officers and are trained at the agency's Urban Park Service Academy. Though rangers typically focus on education, helping to lead a larger variety of environmental programs and outdoor recreation programs for the public, rangers also serve a valuable enforcement presence, performing patrol and responding to animal conditions, particularly in our urban areas. As the New York City Police Department carries out their mission to protect the public and ensure the safety of New Yorkers across the city, including within parks, NYC Parks works in close partnership with NYPD to strengthen and streamline enforcement efforts. Our local park managers and borough commissioners are in constant contact with NYPD leadership. Though their staffing is relatively modest compared to the number of NYPD officers, our efforts are primarily focused on enforcing park rules. Our PEP officers and rangers play a substantial role in responding to emergencies within parks and other properties under the jurisdiction of parks. These have ranged from saving accident victims from burning vehicles to providing crowd control during weather events such as wildfires or administering first aid to park visitors in medical need. Throughout the diligent work of our PEP officers and rangers, as well as incredible support of NYPD and other partners, the park experience would be greatly diminished. Every day we work to ensure that park rules and regulations are being upheld and that a helping hand can be provided to partners in need. Regarding the specifics of the legislation itself, we have been able to discuss with the council's primary sponsor. We do have some concerns about the current version as it was initially introduced, and we look forward to working with council to address these concerns and work together to achieve our shared goals. Thank you for allowing us to testify before you today and for your continued advocacy and support of our city parks. We will now be pleased to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much for your testimony. And again, we appreciate all the hard work that you all do for our parks every single day. I've got some questions, but I'm going to ask some now and then turn over to my colleagues to ask some questions as well. So I just want to first, in a more layman's way, kind of get a sense of what the issues are and the work that the Parks Department is doing for our bathrooms and water fountains. So if I'm correct, there are, I think for your testimony too, 3,400 water fountains that the Parks Department maintains and about 700 bathrooms, right?
Correct. We have 3,400 drinking fountains, 700 bathroom buildings, which have 1,400 bathrooms in them.
I see.
So we count both buildings and the public restrooms. We use the 1,400 number because that's the number of actual public restrooms we have to maintain.
Right. Okay. So 1,400 restrooms, 700 water fountains. And I think what you testified to before was that during the peak of summer, only about 3% of the water fountains were not working?
Correct.
And what was the statistic for bathrooms? How many, I would suppose summer, peak time, how many were not working and were working then?
So 4%, so 27 out of the 1,400 bathrooms were either had a fixture in it or the entire room was closed. So oftentimes when a fixture like a urinal is not working, the rest of the bathroom will still be open. But during that intense second week in August, 27 bathrooms of the 1,400, which is about 3%, had either a damaged fixture or were fully closed.
Got it. Okay. So how are you all tracking when you find out bathrooms are not working or water fountains are not working? Are those 311 calls that are coming in and that's how you know? Or where does that 3% or 4% figure come from?
Sure. Thank you, Council Member. The figure is largely from our own staff because our staff is in these public facilities, specifically bathrooms, a minimum of 3 times a day. We unlock them in the morning. We're cleaning them at least once a day, oftentimes multiple times a day, and then we're closing them. And as I noted in my testimony, conditions can change on a moment's notice. So a staff member can go in, it's perfectly clean, it's fine. Maybe they clean it up a little bit. They walk out, they go to do some other work in the park, and they come back in to find the public restroom has a mess in it. So they then report in through our central communications, what's called pages, and that's how we track it. So for example, that's how I was able to tell you that 14 public restrooms were closed or damaged or impacted. This weekend, I just went through all the pages from Saturday and Sunday and saw how many were.
And I have no doubt, as I mentioned before, that you all are doing the best job that you can with the resources, limited resources you have, and so are the parks workers too. One thing I wonder about is, I think that number is obviously affected by what complaints are being filtered up. And so what the parks workers see at any given time, right, is what you'll find reported on your end. Because anecdotally, and I suspect my other colleagues will say the same thing too, we always hear from, there are many more New Yorkers using the parks than parks workers, right?
Sure.
And so anecdotally, I myself hear of instances of the water fountains not working or parks, bathrooms not being open when they should be open. And so one, it's I think it's just factual. The number is higher than what you all see, and part of it may be that just you all are seeing what workers are reporting, which they will do as best as they can. But I wonder if there's a way to involve all New Yorkers in some way in filtering up reports of when parks bathrooms are not open when they should be or when they're not working, so you all are capturing more of that information. Because I think two things are happening. One, I have a sense the number is actually higher than the reported number coming in. And two, there's also a perception issue of, look, the parks bathrooms are, there's some real issues there too. And so I wonder if there's a way, or if you've all given thought to a more comprehensive way to capture that data, or even concerns from New Yorkers who are using the parks at a given time.
Sure. Well, thank you for the question. Or the statement. I will say that the primary source is our own staff, because again, we're in the buildings. We're constantly responding to 311 concerns from elected officials. So there are many routes to already report through our website, through digital media, through our social media presence. So we respond to things as soon as we hear about them. Again, I will emphasize that the nature of keeping a public restroom clean changes in a moment. So again, we can go in and clean it. Someone can report it's soiled or dirty. Our staff goes back and cleans it and practically closes out that request before it even gets up through a page, particularly for our facilities where we have what are called fixed post staff, where the staff is, and our systems well, where that staff is assigned to that place. Particularly, let's take a small playground that has one of our smaller swimming pools in during the summer. We have fixed post staff there, and they are constantly rotating through that public restroom, in addition to maintaining the playground and pulling trash and things. So there are multiple ways we get the information. Whenever we get the information, we respond to it immediately. And if it's cleanliness, it's cleaned up right then and there. Obviously, if it's vandalism or requires a plumber to come out, then it takes longer.
Right. And I have no doubt that you all are responding as best as you can. I just wonder, the information is only as good as what the inputs that you're getting in, right?
Of course.
And so, of course, from the parks workers, maybe from the 311s that come in too, those are all good sources. But I do wonder if there are ways, and we should talk more about it too, if we can expand the amount of inputs that you're getting, so that, sometimes people don't call 311 when they should, because understandably they're not sure it'll go anywhere, and that's always an issue with 311. But I do wonder if there are ways. I always think about it in the context of, when I was a housing lawyer for tenants before, when we go to court, sometimes what we'd hear is, well, there's no 311 complaint, or there's no, HPD violation. That doesn't mean the violation or the complaint isn't there. It means it wasn't actually recorded, but there could still be violations and issues, and the pictures from my former clients and tenants would show that. So I do think there's that little bit of a gap between, what's happening in real time and what actually gets reported. But I'd love to talk to you all more about, are there ways to expand, perhaps the legislation, otherwise, the inputs that you all are getting, so you can kind of more accurately in real time track this information. Now, when it comes to the inspections themselves, and when you have a failed inspection for a bathroom or a water fountain, what are the most common factors that are resulting in those failed inspections? What are you all seeing on the ground or hearing about?
Yeah, thank you. We're very proud of our PIP inspection program, the Parks Inspection Program. I'm going to turn it over to Director Alex Butler to respond to that question.
Thank you, Councilmember. Were you asking about restrooms and drinking fountains?
Yes.
So for restrooms,
You don't mind speaking to the mic a little bit more? So
sure. For restrooms, we have a 4-feature inspection program. So we're looking at the presence of litter and graffiti, and also structural condition and amenities, which are the liquid soap, toilet paper, and a working hand dryer. And there is sort of a various calculus by which different missing things or damaged things can affect both a feature or the entire building's rating. The most common causes of inspection failure for a restroom would be a missing amenity. It's a very strict standard. So if there's missing liquid soap or missing toilet paper in either of the rooms, it's a failure for that amenities feature immediately. And if there's a total of 4 missing amenities across the 2 rooms, let's say one room is missing toilet paper and liquid soap, another one malfunctioning hand dryer and missing liquid soap, that would be a failure for the building, just for amenities alone. Other causes would be some combination of missing amenities, maybe one missing amenity and moderate litter in one room. That would also sort of affect the calculus of the ratings and result in a building failure. And then a third way that it's common for our restrooms to fail, and again, not many of them are failing. I'm happy to say that, as Commissioner Folk pointed out, there tend to be in the 90% passing for amenities and for cleanliness, but would be inadequate lighting. So if we inspector goes into a restroom and finds one of the light bulbs is out, that could be a safety issue, and that's considered a priority 1, and that would impact ratings immediately. For drinking fountains, we're looking at, first of all, is there water at all? We're looking at, is it constantly running? Is there high pressure or low pressure? And is the bubbler damaged in some other way? The bubbler is the button that you press, or is the drain clogged? And in those situations, most common, again, most of our drinking fountains are in great shape. Most common would be no water service, and again, that could be due to larger issues in the park with the water service, not just that one drinking fountain, or the drain clogged. Kids are putting things like sand or water balloons and stuff like that. So those are probably the most common things we find with drinking fountains.
And just going back to the point before about 311 complaints coming into, is it a common occurrence to get 311 complaints about bathrooms or water fountain functionality? Like, do you have any numbers on how many 311 complaints you get a year or per month on those issues, if it's a lot? Or any data on the average time that it takes for parks to respond to those concerns?
We don't have specific, we can get you specific data on 311. We know that for all 311 complaints that come into parks, 70 to 80% of all 311 issues are related to trees. So as you know, we've had this conversation, right? So it is only 20 to 30% are related to all other aspects of parks. And so drinking fountains and restrooms would be a small subset of that. As far as our responsiveness, again, if it's a cleanliness issue, it's addressed immediately. So it's because, again, it will be cleaned up either as soon as we learn about it or when we come to close the restroom, because we're not closing a dirty restroom. And every one of our 1,400 restrooms is locked up at night. So before they're locked up, they're checked, inspected, and make sure the toilet paper is there and they're cleaned if they need to be before they're locked up. So cleanliness issues will be addressed within the same day, within hours. Again, structural issues could take days to upwards of a month if we have to order parts. Again, I read you some of the vandalism from this weekend. The one restroom in Staten Island that had all of the stalls ripped off. We're going to have to order new stall dividers and new doors. I don't yet know. That only happened yesterday. I don't know how long it's going to take to replace those. So it's very difficult to put an amount of time on the structural repairs. But again, in that typical week in August that we looked at, 20% of the structural work was done within 7 days. And the remaining about 50% was completed within a month.
Got it. Okay. Now, the council's investigation into bathroom maintenance last year found that 24% of restrooms lacked baby changing stations. 30% of men's restrooms lacked baby changing stations compared to 17% of women's restrooms. I myself, when my kids were in the diaper changing phase, experienced that very well. In 2023, the council passed Local Law 56, which in part required that by December 31st, 2027, all park bathrooms have a diaper changing station installed. How is the Parks Department complying with this law, and are you on track to meet its requirements by 2027?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. I'm very proud to report we have completed the installation of over 600 baby changing tables, which is every place that they could fit. So we have met the obligations of the legislation 3 years ahead of the December 2027 deadline. The legislation did carve out 2 exceptions. One was if there's no physical wall space, because some of our small restrooms, there's literally no wall space to put a baby changing table because you have a sink, you have a hand dryer, you have a window, you have a heater. So that was carved out of the legislation. And then also, as you may recall, any places that are subject to repeat vandalism, we are not obligated to keep putting a changing table back in that space, only to have it vandalized again. But we purchased over 700 to have about 100 extra. We installed 600, and we completed the mandate of the legislation 3 years ahead of the timeline.
That's good to hear. Now, let's go back to looking at the barriers to improving the parks and bathrooms and water fountains. Putting aside funding, which I know is the big issue looming over or for all of us, what are, given the results of the surveys that we've done, and as I mentioned before, Councilmember Brewer did as well in the parks in her district too, what are the main barriers causing these issues outside of funding? What would you identify are areas or ways that the city could be helpful in supporting you all as an agency to help with this issue, outside of funding, of course?
Right. Thank you. I think two issues immediately come to mind. One is the age of our infrastructure. As we've talked about, many of our public restrooms date back to Robert Moses' era. The 20 by 20 small public restrooms we have, very aged infrastructure. But as I did note in my testimony, we're building or renovating 131 new public restrooms, so we're renovating a lot of those. That happens, older infrastructure clogs easier, breaks more frequently, resulting in more closures. So certainly we see a much higher level of closures at our older public restrooms than at our newer ones. Our newer ones are hardly ever closed for structural issues, for clogs. The other issue, and I'm sorry to have to keep mentioning it, but it is the vandalism. We have seen a significant increase in vandalism in our public restrooms ever since the pandemic, so for the last 4 to 5 years. And again, 10 of the 14 closures this weekend were related to vandalism. And there's really nothing we can do about that. Sites that are staffed may tend to have less vandalism in them. But again, also I mentioned intravenous drug use. As it gets warmer, more intravenous drug users tend to go into our public restrooms to use drugs. And then they often flush their needles down the toilet, and that clogs up the piping. We recently went into a public restroom in a certain borough where the toilet wasn't flushing, and our plumbers had to disconnect the toilet and found over 100 syringes flushed down the toilet. So, those are two of the things that we encounter. Certainly the vandalism and the intravenous drug use we encounter on almost a daily basis in our public restrooms. The age of our infrastructure we're really addressing through a fairly robust capital budget and 131 new or renovated restrooms.
That actually leads me to my next question, which was, because of the aging infrastructure, and I think that's right, what kind of capital investments have you all been making or plan to make? There's another tension, though, which is that capital projects can be very, very expensive with the park permit too, which we've had hearings about as well. I know that the Portland Loo pilot, bathrooms, I think at some degree are supposed to help address that, but they can also be expensive too, if I remember correctly. So what are the capital investments that are being made, and how do you resolve that tension between the expense and the duration of those capital projects with the fact that they're also needed as well?
Yeah. No, thank you very much for the question. I think going back several years ago when we've had these conversations and these hearings, it's been all about the bricks and mortar building and it costing X millions of dollars and taking X amount of time. So we've expanded our concept of what a public restroom is in basically 4 different ways. We still have our standard bricks and mortar public restroom, which is a contractor going out, unionized contractors going out and building a new building. So there's a number of those that are online. We also then are going to prefab modular units. These are public restrooms that look just like our bricks and mortar one, but are built in a factory and then trucked onto site and craned into place.
Those are the Portland Loo?
No. These are full public restrooms. You couldn't tell the difference between one built on site and one built in a factory. And we opened our first one at Louis Lopez Playground in Staten Island, and we have another about 5 of them in process right now. So these are prefabbed in a factory. Then we get to our single occupants prefabricated, what we call the Loo. We're not using the Portland side.
Right, I was
of it.
wondering about that as I said it.
Yeah, we just call it
this trend here.
We just call it the Loo. So yes, so that's a pilot program, 1 in each borough. They've been open. They've been functioning now since the spring. Been very successful. People really like them. It is a pilot program because we want to go through one entire 12-month season to see how they work in the winter, in the spring, get through every season before we decide to expand it. It was very successful. Again, they're prefab. You got to bring in the plumbing, but then you just anchor it. We're also looking at trailers. So this would be bringing in public restroom trailers. Very nice, very high-end trailers that are brought in and then kind of encased in architecture, so they look more like a building. They don't look like a trailer. And we're testing the first one of those at Gateway Estates in Brooklyn. So there's at least 4 different ways we're looking at. And then the final way is composting toilets. There's a lot of challenges with that because you have to have certain permeabilities in the soil, but we do have composting toilets both in Prospect Park and in Fresh Kills. So we have a broad range now through our architecture, through our capital division, that's looking at how to get more public restrooms built quickly and for the best cost we can get.
Got it. Okay. And just a couple more questions before I turn it over to my colleagues for their questions. One is, going back to our workforce, we know that the Parks Department workforce is overextended. They need more support and resources, and we in the city owe them a huge debt of gratitude. And I frequently speak about that because I think that they deserve even more recognition and attention always. How many park staffers are focused on parks maintenance, and how many park properties have fixed post crews? I know we talked about that before. And how do you decide which parks get that, and how to increase the number of parks that have those fixed post staffing?
Sure. Thank you for the question. So during off-peak season, which we're in now during the winter months, we have about 2,900 maintenance staff or M&O staff. And then during peak season, that goes to about 4,800. So it's not quite double, but it's almost double by adding seasonal staff. During the off-season, we don't have seasonal staff. So during the off-season, our staff is made up of full-time staff and our workforce development or the Parks Opportunity Program staff. In the summer, then we add seasonals. So we about double. So again, 2,900 to about 4,800 from off-peak to peak. And then, of course, back to off-peak. How we decide where they're fixed post, you first need a building to fix post staff, because when staff shows up at a site, you need to give them a place to hang up their coat, to seek shelter during a thunderstorm. So our sites that do not have buildings in them cannot be fixed post because there's literally no place for the staff to report to. So if there is a building in a park, we consider fixed posting it. In the off season, such as now, we fix post about 20% of our sites. During the peak season, we can fix post about 50% of our sites because we have that seasonal staff. Almost all of our seasonal staff go to fixed posting sites or augmenting those sites that are not fixed post during the winter. So again, the key to fixed posting is making sure there's a building where people can report to.
Right. So then if only about 50% have them, how do you track the problems at the other 50% that don't have a fixed post? And how do you make sure that you are getting updated information on those parks that don't have a fixed post staff assignment?
Thank you for that. So there are several ways. One is the daily visits by our mobile crews. So if a site is not maintained by a fixed post staff, it's maintained by a mobile crew. So a staff will report to their muster location in the morning. They'll get their assignment. It's all on an app we call Daily Tasks, and it tracks them from site to site. So they'll drive from site to site and clean that site. So again, it's a moment in time, but it is a moment in time every day that they're on that site and cleaning that site and reporting any issues above what they can do. So if it's a structural issue, they'll report it to the trades. We then also have our PIP inspection data. We also have every month our park supervisors inspect every one of their sites. So that's 12 additional inspections on top of the PIP inspections. Our 1,100 playgrounds are inspected twice a year, very detailed by certified playground instructors that look at every nut, every bolt to make sure everything is safe. That means every playground is inspected 14 times a year on top of the PIP inspections. And then we have the 311 data, the Twitter feeds, the social media, everything that comes in through electeds and community members and community boards and community board managers. So it is a broad array that we get information. But again, it's principally our staff being at every site every day.
Thank you. I'm going to turn over to my colleagues now for some questions. We can Start with Councilmember Zhuang.
Thank you. And I want to thank everyone here to testify. And I know it's not an easy job. And for the vandalism, you said that we're not able to do anything. Is PEP officer able to help with this issue?
Oh, thank you, Councilmember. It's probably a bit premature to say there's nothing we can do about it. Of course, our PEP officers serve such a critical role for the agency and public safety, but I will turn it over to the Assistant Commissioner for Urban Park Service, Asha Harris.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Council Member. We do work closely with our operations teams in regards to where the vandalism is happening. We do have our central communications team, so we get those pages that Commissioner Folk mentioned, and we do look to increase patrols as a deterrent or to address those conditions as we see them. So it is something that our teams work closely together to work to address. And then we also work closely with the NYPD. So if we think that there's something else going on that's crime related, we do work with our counterparts at NYPD as well.
Thank you. But I actually see myself. We have group of young kids riding like dirt bikes, really dirt bikes in my parks. And then we called PEP's officer coming, everyone left. I think if there's more PEP officers there, then probably will be less vandalism. Which area, which borough, and which any particular parks have more vandalism than the other area?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry. You started with two parts, so I just want to make sure I understand.
So is any particular area, like say in which borough has more vandalism than the other borough? Or which area, neighborhood, different neighborhood?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's neighborhood specific. There are times where we will see it in one playground, in one park, so it varies. Part of our job is to see where we have trends and see what's happening, and then again deploy our staff to address it based on what's coming in. So whether it's through 311 data, whether it's through employee observation, where we're actually seeing it, right? It really depends on what we're seeing, and that would determine how we address it.
So for right now, about the vandalism, who in Parks Department handle with this issue?
Councilmember, to clarify, do you mean sort of like repairing and like cleaning
Clean up.
afterwards?
Clean up.
Yeah, so the cleaning and responding to the correcting the vandalism, so to speak, which can be graffiti or can be something that's damaged. That's generally handled by our maintenance and operations team in terms of like the actual repair. And Commissioner can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not aware that there's any large disparity by borough in where we're seeing those instances. I think that happens. It's an unfortunate occurrence, but I think it does happen around the city, and I don't believe that there's any disparity by borough that I'm aware of.
Is it right now enough PEP officer in each borough?
Okay, so PEP enforcement, right, is
Sorry,
Commissioner,
one second.
I'm sorry.
It's only a test. Keeping us on our toes.
Sorry, so turning to enforcement, which is an excellent question. Generally speaking, and Commissioner can talk more about this, that our deployment is equal by borough, generally speaking, with Staten Island a little bit less because there's lower population there, but the remaining 4 boroughs have essentially a roughly equivalent contingent for each of the other boroughs.
Is every borough has the same number of parks or same square footage of parks?
No, they don't, nor do they have the same population. So there's a variety of different factors that come into that. Nor do those boroughs see the same intensity of its parks being used, like, for example. So there's a variety of different factors that come into play beyond just, number of parks or the type of what those, properties look like. There's a variety of factors, and Commissioner can speak more to this about how they make their deployment decisions. But if you want to jump in, Asha.
So, as mentioned, there is variety, right? So it really depends, again, on what's coming in, what complaints we're getting. If there is a moped issue, a vending issue, depending on what the quality of life concern is, that would determine how our teams are deployed and where they're needed at a particular time. And deployments change on a regular basis.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Brewer?
Thank you. You're all great, but Miss Harris was real great at Columbus Circle. I just want you to know. You're all okay, but she's really spectacular. I spent hours with the water fountains. We have a bill that over the next 10 years, your we have to come up with 50 more. How many plumbers are assigned in the borough of Manhattan? I
Thank
know
you.
the answer, so I want to hear what you have to say.
I was going to say thank you for the question,
No,
Council
no,
Member.
no, 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 I don't want all
I
that.
don't know the answer off the top of my head, but we will get you that number.
It's about 2.
Actually, I think it's
Okay,
Okay.
I need an answer. If you can get the answer before the end of the hearing, that would be helpful. That's the problem. You have too few plumbers. Because with all due respect to your 3% are only the ones broken, when I just did a study in Riverside Park, just in Riverside Park, 26% of the water fountains don't work at all. In Central Park, 77% drain poorly or not at all. And in playgrounds, many in schoolyards, and not all yours, 1 in 5, 20% are out of order. And then 17 fountains are closed due to construction. 15 fountains listed on the city websites were actually inside the Parks Department offices and not therefore inaccessible. And 17 listed in city data were not there at all. So there's a problem with your listing. There's a problem, I have to say, with your statistics. I personally, if it's a little tiny little dribble, that doesn't work. You got to have something that you can get your water bottle and you're able to drink. You have a water fountain problem, and I think part of it is the lack of plumbers. In Salt Bloom, it's brand new. That's one of your playgrounds. You push the button, doesn't happen. You call Parks, they come and fix it. It doesn't work. They come back, it doesn't work. Parents say it doesn't work at all, and it's new. You really have a water fountain issue, and I think people want the water fountains to work. So I'm just wondering, also, how much do they cost, water fountains? I know the answer to that, too.
Yeah, yeah, I apologize. I recall we testified to this at a previous hearing, or maybe you've updated the number through other sources. I apologize. I can't recall the number offhand, except to note that it's pretty rare that a water fountain installation happens sort of in and by itself. Like, it's normally part of a larger capital project, so it can be a little difficult to sort of extract
Okay,
accurately
just so we
the
put it in
cost.
for PB, participatory budgeting,
Uh-huh.
because people want them. And we thought, 375,000 for 3, yet it only covers 2.
Mhm.
Okay, divide 375 in half, and that's too much. That's a lot. So, and that's not part of a capital project. I understand that. So, what is kind of your overall strategy on water fountains? Because I do think your 3% is a little off.
Well, in terms of their condition and care, obviously, we're happy to take a closer look at the study you referenced.
I said it to you a
that
long time
conducted.
ago, Matt.
Okay, we'll re-look at it.
Okay, all right.
But in terms of making sure that they're either new or replaced, that is sort of we consider that an ongoing effort. Where any opportunity, like let's say a playground has the opportunity, we get the funding in line. We always make sure that the water fountains. We take a look at our capital designers, make a look at do additional locations make sense. What should those water fountains look like? Bottle filler versus others. Sometimes there's
We're
misting.
told we can't get bottle filler. We cannot get them in this amazingly expensive water fountain. We can only get the water. Apparently, it will be enough of a opportunity that the bottle will be able to be filled by the regular. Okay,
Two
I'm just
things.
telling you.
I'm sure that a bottle filling capacity makes a water fountain installation more expensive. That's probably
but
true. It's added
over-
functionality.
It's already 150.
I've also successfully been able to fill bottles at a normal water fountain
Right,
as well.
exactly.
That's
Okay.
so yeah,
As long as
we
it
hear you loud and
works.
clear. The capital projects in New York City are certainly very expensive.
Okay. So are you thinking about my 50 new water fountains over the next 10 years?
Yes,
How is that proceeding?
thinking about it, it's going quite well. I think we are on track, very well on track. We'll be happy to keep you posted with that success as we move along.
Okay, bathrooms. So we did a study there too. It didn't come out too well. That was done by the fabulous oversight and investigations team. They went to all 5 boroughs, and 2/3, 68 of 102 were closed or had health and safety issues. And that report was issued August of 24, and I think you have a copy of it. So my question, three questions. First of all, it would seem to me that, you have your new ideas, and that's great. In Manhattan, I don't know about Brooklyn, but there are a lot of, I would say, restored, have to be restored because they're part of landmark parks. So you're not going to get a Lou or Portland or whatever the hell that thing is called. So my suggestion would be to, instead of doing one by one by one, they're going from 5 to 13 million per bathroom. Those are the estimates I have, 5 to 13 million. So my suggestion would be to take a look at all of your must be restored, again, may not be in every park, and try to do them in some kind of a massive master plan. Because then you could perhaps, I don't know, save money on the work. Is that being considered? Because right now, the septic situation is a mess. I can't even think of what it costs when it's landmarked. I understand it needs special attention. But what is the way? There are 12 such in Fort Washington and Riverside Park alone, all of which need massive work. All landmarked or at least historic district. So what are we doing about those and anybody else that's in that situation?
Yeah, I think I would characterize the agency does its best to take. We do have a good sense of, I think, of our restrooms as an inventory class, for lack of a better term. And as funding becomes available, we certainly do our best to target the areas that are most most dire need, and that's informed by our PIP inspections. That's informed by staff observation, just 311 requests, a variety of data points that come into us. And further, we are actually exploring some really interesting opportunities through the Design Build initiative involving sort of the bundling of
Design Build
projects. So that's, I think, we're hoping that's going to be one avenue to see some
Could
efficiencies
that
on the
go
cost
for
side.
Could you look at that as a master plan for all of them that are in this situation?
I think right now we're going to gauge the success of the Design Build effort, as a pretty nice template, a pilot, if you will. And I think there's a lot of optimism about that approach.
Okay, I mean, a lot of the Design Build is not a new concept. I mean, DDC's been using it, blah, blah, blah.
Sure. I mean, the city was only granted authority to do it, whatever it was, like two years
but,
ago or
you
so.
know,
So I mean,
it's
we're
been
sort of
done
in
on the
early stages here, but we're
East
we're
Side
very
Park is-
excited.
Eastside Park is doing it. Hours of operations. I know you mentioned they're open all the time, but if you're playing in the baseball in the evening, it's not open, and yet that's when the kids need to go to the bathroom. So I'm just saying your hours of operation, I get complaints all the time, are not necessarily, because you don't have the staffing, they're not necessarily at the same time as when people are in that area. Is that something that can be addressed?
Yeah, thank you for the comment. I would like to address it because I think it's a misperception. Our bathrooms are open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. during the winter months. Then when we get to April, they're open to 5. Excuse me, when we get to March, they're open to 5. We follow daylight. So March, they're open to 5. April, they're open to 6. May, they're open to 7. Then when we get to Memorial Day, Labor Day, they're open to 7 unless we have a second shift staff there. Then they're open to 9 p.m. Now you have a bathroom that's open 13 hours a day from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
If you have staff.
If it has second shift staff. But we just got additional funding. Thank you to the mayor and council for funding 100 additional sites for second shift. So we're now at 200 sites and 121 parks. And then as we start to lose daylight, so you're going from 9
What
or
happens
7.
if the lights are on in the park?
I'm sorry, what's?
The lights, lights. If the lights are on in the park, they're going to be open late. I'm just saying, it's not just dusk and night. People play at night.
I know.
I'm trying to give you what people care about. I understand your concerns.
We also hear it, absolutely.
Okay.
We have staff that work up to in 2 shifts, 13 to 14 hours a day in 2 shifts to keep our sites clean and safe and open them and to close them online approximately with daylight hours.
Okay.
And so we wind down in the fall back to 4 p.m. by December.
Okay, so I guess my suggestion would be, again, using algorithms, looking at the permit office, what is available permit-wise, who has, again, throw in the lights and see if you can make sure. That is a constant issue. And my guess is people are just peeing in the park because there's no place else to go.
Well, I will say we keep public restrooms open when we know there is a permitted athletic activity at a field.
Okay,
So if a little league has pulled a permit or any group has pulled a permit and that field is supported by a public restroom, that public restroom is left open no later than 10 p.m. because we're not going to have staff out after
I
10
understand
p.m.
that. I get a different sense, so that might be true. If I'm wrong, I will let you know, but I will also bring to your attention that the little leagues often do not have a place to pee. That's what they tell me. All right. I guess my last question is, when do you going to give us, you'll have X number of plumbers. Are you Are you confident that you have enough? Do you think that this is an issue? Is that something that you're looking at? We obviously want you to get more money. We definitely want you to get more money. So we will hopefully work on that. That 1% is no joke. We need it. But is the plumber something that's hard to hire? Obviously, private sector make more money. I know exactly in my house how much I pay that damn plumber. So I know that they're expensive, and they probably make less money at parks. But again, there's some advantages. I think you need more plumbers. What are you doing about that?
So we do substantially increase the number of plumbers with our seasonal staff. So we hire extensively trades. Let me go back to answer your first question. We generally do not have difficulty hiring skilled trades. While you are true, the salaries are less than what they would get in the private sector.
That's true across the
Obviously,
board.
a pension, healthcare,
That's
all the
across the
other
board, yeah.
benefits are very different than what they would get in the private sector. We generally do not have an issue hiring trades, and particularly plumbers and electricians, we have really no issue hiring. Other trades are a little bit more difficult. So I think we are fine with the number of plumbers we have during the off-season, and during the peak season, they're augmented multiple times over by seasonal plumbers.
Okay, I'll leave it go except to say the water fountains aren't working in many cases, the bathrooms aren't working in many cases, septic tanks are a problem, and you definitely need more help. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Brewer. So a couple things I want to follow up on too. So one is, I do think that putting aside the funding limitations, which are very real and obviously are a significant part of the problem, there does seem to be an information gap, and I highlighted it before, and I think Councilmember Brewer's report and her questions today really highlight that too. The discrepancy between what you all are seeing in terms of broken water fountains and bathrooms versus what, for example, Councilmember Brewer's own report in her own district alone has showed. And I know for a fact, even the constituents in my district, Flushing Meadows, Corona Park, these issues come to us as well of facilities not working, but may not be reported to parks, or they're reported to us and we pass it on. But there is such a large discrepancy. So how do you explain that difference, say, for example, between Councilmember Brewer's report in her district with parks that have conservancies, I might add too. And so especially when you don't have the conservancies as well, it's a problem and a difficulty for the conservancies too. Then you can imagine parks without even the conservancies. I know, and I can imagine just how much larger that discrepancy can be as well. So where do you think that comes from? And there is an information gap. I think that's clearly being highlighted.
Thank you for the question. And to be clear, we don't refute any of the findings from the council member's report. We did go out and look at all the fountains, and again, it's a point in time. Everything is a different situation. So a number of the fountains your staff found that weren't working, by the time we got your report and went out, they were working because there had been a work order in to repair that one. Or one of the ones that were clogged, the sand had been cleared out, or the infamous balloons that kids fill with water and clogs up the thing. We looked into a bunch of them where there was low water pressure, and that happened to be the day they were inspected. DEP was doing some work in that immediate neighborhood, and the entire site had low water pressure. We went to all of the ones in Riverside Park. The issue in Riverside Park, council members, you know very well, is the aged infrastructure. It doesn't really have, the number of fountains, drinking fountains your staff found in Riverside Park that weren't working. It's not really the drinking fountain's not working. It's the pipe that's coming to the drinking fountain was installed in 1938 or something like that. And it needs massive replacement of the infrastructure underground in Riverside Park, a lot of which is above the Amtrak tunnel, which makes it even more complicated. So again, council member, we don't refute any of these findings. We go out and we look at everything that we get, whether it's from a report, such as the councilwoman's report, or wherever we get it, and then we make the repairs. So I understand at any moment in time there could be a perceived information difference, but I really don't think there is. We address everything we know about. We know about things from multiple sources, and if there's other ways that we could know faster, better, or more complete, I think that was how this conversation started, and we'd be very open to that, because we want these things to work. We want these things to support park users, and in fact, we have amazing skilled trades that can repair it. We have a decent capital budget now that can make long-term repairs. But again, we need to know about it, and we need the staff to do it.
Yeah, and
If I can, sorry, just quickly, I just want to interject and point to the parks inspection program because I think it's a really important overlay here, and it's sort of a testament to the agencies. There's a degree to which you need to sort of step back and make sure you're taking these systemic looks, right? And just to point to PIP, it's independently, run and operated, sort of, very data driven, sort of what you might call like a statistic, taking a true statistical sample so that we can really rely on that data. I just want to interject here because having worked for elected officials' offices, it is not uncommon that we would get 20, 25 emails or phone calls all about the same condition. So, and I'm not saying those were obviously accurate, of course, but it also built this sort of narrative sometimes in our heads that when we went out there and actually explored that property or that it was like a tipped over garbage can. Like, I'm not diminishing, obviously the importance of that input, but it can create in the opposite direction a little bit of an echo chamber. So our goal and our mission is to kind of cut through that and make sure we're looking at, sort of the facts and the data. So I just want to sort of throw that.
And to be clear too, I think that like I said, the workers who are there are doing an excellent job. Even my own district too. When the issues that come to me, I've been fortunate to have excellent workers at Traverse Park and Seymour Park that respond right away. But my concern is about if it's not making its way to an elected official's office, if its department doesn't have fixed post staff, how do we make sure that park and those amenities are getting the facilities are getting the inspection and maintenance that they need to, and there can be some real equity challenges there as well. And I think it's those parks that may not have either it's not coming to the elected official offices, they don't have the parks groups that can help amplify those concerns, but they're used, and oftentimes it does break down across neighborhood by those that, depending on where you live, it affects the quality of the restrooms and the bathrooms in the parks too. But we should have a conversation about ways that we can increase the information getting to you all too. I did want to also, before Councilmember Schwang's questions, Councilmember Holden had a question as well, and he's on virtually, and because we don't have a quorum, he can't ask it directly, so I'm going to ask it for him.
Okay.
And his question is, while restrooms are closed during reconstruction, why not have portable toilets attached to the contract? In Juniper Valley Park, for example, the restrooms are under reconstruction, and he's being told that he can't get portable bathrooms. And I know for a fact how heavily used Juniper Park is by many. You all know it too. So that seems like now it has such a heavily used park without bathroom access. It seems like a big challenge. And so I'm wondering when Councilman Holden, of course, wondering what efforts you are making to address that.
Yeah. Thank you, Councilman Holden and Chair. It's a great question. I want to clarify there's two ways to look at this with portable restrooms. There are possibilities and there are times when we built in the capital budget renovation of a building to bring in a portable restroom trailer, which you're familiar with, which is the most equivalent to changing out a public restroom. That would assume that the capital project does not include replacement of the water and waste lines that serve that public restroom. So in other words, if we don't have to replace all the lines from the street, then we can tap into the existing systems by putting a trailer there. If the project involves replacement of all the lines, then you can't bring a trailer in because there's no way to hook up water and sewer to a trailer. Then we could bring in porta potties, porta johns. They're not often well received by the public. They're subject to a very high level of abuse, including being tipped over and things like that and set afire. And they're also not capitally eligible. So we can't build them in to the capital budget for that project the way we can build in a trailer. So we can look at doing it more, but it becomes a little bit more complicated because if we don't have the utilities, it has to be porta potties, which is expense funded, and a significant cost over, let's say, a year and a half to build a building, a significant cost in having the company come in and service them, empty them, clean them, restock them daily, ideally during the peak season. So that's not an insubstantial cost.
So then what happens in a situation like with Juniper Valley Park, for example?
Yeah.
Did they just go without a bathroom during the renovation, or?
We generally direct them to the nearest bathroom in that same park. So we generally put up signage that indicate where the nearest bathroom is in that park. And if it's like a small playground that is the bathroom is the only bathroom in that playground, then we try and direct them to the nearest playground or nearest park, which in some cases maybe a block or two away, because we have such density of these facilities.
Councilman Bergeron?
Thank you. And also, my question is, how many PEPS officer we have in the city? How many in each borough? How wide there's a gap there?
Sure. So stepping back citywide, the officers roughly about 300 around the city, and the distribution is relatively even between the 4 boroughs, give or take, with Staten Island contingent being a little bit smaller, again, because of the lower population there. If I mischaracterized, Commissioner Harris, please.
Thank you. So we have a baseline of about 50 officers in all the boroughs with the exception of Staten Island, which has a baseline of 30. Our PEP officers are very dedicated and patrol our city parks within the assigned boroughs that they're working in. So that's our basic number currently, but we also received funding for 100 additional lines, our one-shot lines, and we're very happy, as Commissioner mentioned, we have a marketing campaign out, and we're very happy that we are not only we've launched that campaign, but we also have already hired some of those officers, so we will be having more officers out in the field very soon.
Like when they can start in the field?
I actually have an academy class in currently. They're done with training on the 29th of this month. Our next class start on December 1st, and our following class has a tentative start date of January 12th. So we're looking to have all the officers out by March of next year, but again, they'll be coming out in stages as their training is completed.
So basically we have 400 by March in New York City?
Correct. I will, though, also mention that we do have we have to combat attrition, right? So at any given time, that number fluctuates, but that would, yes, be the number, the 300 and also the 100 one-shots.
Thank you. And also, in the testimony, you guys mentioned that there's a concern about this legislation. What kind of concern?
Sure. Thanks, Councilmember. As we were able to discuss directly, and when it was, we were very grateful to have the conversation with you. We just thought there were some structural pieces related to some of the language and the way in which it was framed, drafted. That we had a good exchange, I think, and I believe we've shared some proposed edits, and so we hope that dialogue can continue. But we very much appreciate the spirit of the bill and making sure that we can report on staffing levels and things of that nature.
And with 400 PEP officers in New York City, you think that's enough?
We can always do more with more. As mentioned, our team is very dedicated, and we are every day working to address the quality of life concerns in our parks. So with that being said, if we had more, we can do more, but we do a lot of great work with the number that we have. And again, we're open to a meeting with you separately and addressing all the concerns that you or any of the council members have in their districts.
If that means 400 PEP officer, at least I can see one PEP officer showing up in my park a week?
We do patrol your council district as well as the others. I think what would be really beneficial is for us, it seems like you have concerns in your district. I know about Cephalo, but I think it would be helpful if we can meet and discuss the specific concerns to ensure that you're seeing the officers where you feel it's necessary. But again, I think also with us moving, I can be, for example, in one park by, let's say, the basketball court. You might be at another part of the park. You may not necessarily see us because we are patrolling the entire property and not necessarily looking at one location. And that's part of what we do, right? Going to the playground area, stopping, let's say, if it has a restroom, by the restrooms. And again, we might be in a different part of the park that you might be seeing concerns. So we want to make sure that we're addressing it.
I have colleagues, a lot of colleagues actually spoke to me saying they all have the same concerns. They never see PEP officers. And I do have people sit in the park from morning to night, and then they report to me, Susan, this happening, that happening. But it's very rare to see any PEP officer in any one of our parks. So we would like to see more PEP officers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman Bergeron. Right. Thank you so much, Councilman Bergeron. So is that accurate? I remember we went through these numbers before during one of our budget hearings. So it's about 80 PEP officers per borough?
It's not distributed quite that way, if you want to, sorry.
Yeah, so those are the again the baseline numbers. It's 50 for every borough with 30 for Staten Island. Again, we have uniform ranks that are on leave of absences, right? So that would be an additional number. We have people that we are onboarding, so that would be an additional number. Our backfill, so that's kind of where that number
Got
comes
it.
from.
I thought it was 50. Okay, that's what I had in my head. I mean, obviously you all and Pep are doing all that you can with what you've got, but it seems shocking that we only have 50 Pep officers per borough. It's impossible to cover the whole borough and all its parks, across the city with that level of staffing. So, I know they're doing all they can, and you all are doing all you can too, but it's really a staggering number.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just mention as like a historical reference that when PEP was created in 1981, it was roughly 100 officers, and they were part time, as I understand that they weren't even year round. So I think that's the division obviously does incredible work, as do our urban park rangers, and it's evolved over time, and we are very proud of the impact that they've had and the people that they are so beloved and provide real value. But I think it's important to kind of put that in context, right? That this has always been about providing a thoughtful, targeted enforcement presence, and where our parks are, where we're really experiencing park rule violations or things of that nature. That fact that's always been very thoughtful and frankly fairly finite. That's always been the case. But we're proud, and as the Commissioner said, you can always do more with more. So there's that. But we're very, very proud.
That's where I think the reporting will help to just get a sense of it all. For urban park rangers, what's the breakdown per borough again?
Sure. So it's hand it over.
Sure. Hi. Thank you for asking that. We have 88 staff citywide. That includes 88 total. That includes 38 full-time baseline staff, an additional 50 one-shot funded seasonal staff. And we have 6 to 8 full-time staff in each borough, an additional 10 in each borough, around 10 in each borough for our seasonal staff. And that's 7-day-a-week coverage as well.
So that's about 16 park rangers in total per borough, about 8 of which are full-time. Is that right? Or
roughly that 6 to 8, depending on the borough,
Right.
are full-time. Yeah.
Which again just highlights the great need, because it's clearly not enough for every borough, and obviously you're doing all you can with what you have to for park rangers, but 6 to 8 full-time and plus 10 seasonal is woefully inadequate compared to all the parks and boroughs across the city, and we'll keep pushing here in the council to make sure that number keeps going up. I know we in the council are proud to fund the one-shot positions for the park rangers, but to all the parks personnel, we're extraordinarily grateful. Really respect all the work that you all are doing too, and hopefully we can get to a place where we have more, because we need it. Well, that concludes our questioning of you all as a panel from Parks. Thank you so much, and appreciate your testimony today too, and look forward to continued work together too. Take care. Thank you all. Now we're going to enter public testimony. I've got to read something quickly before. I remind members of the public that this is a formal government proceeding and that decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant at Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out an appearance card with the Sergeant at Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak on today's hearing topic, which is improving the maintenance of parks, bathrooms, and drinking fountains, and intro number 1425. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant at Arms. You may also email written testimony within 72 hours of this hearing. Audio and video recordings will not be accepted. Now we'll call up the first panel, Adam Ganzer, Max Barton, and Michael Ring.
Is this on? You can hear me? Hi, my name is Adam Ganzer. I'm the Executive Director of New Yorkers for Parks. Thank you, Chair Krishnan, for the opportunity to speak today. This hearing is focused on 2 basic services that our Parks Department should deliver for New Yorkers: well-maintained bathrooms and public safety in our city's parks. These two issues are representative of the lack of city investment across our park system and the agency's struggle to meet our expectations. Over the last 4 years, our city's leadership, both the administration and at the city council, has failed to prioritize city parks, failed to deliver the funding and staffing the agency needs to be successful. Rather than focusing on that lost opportunity, I'd like to look to the future. Mayor-elect Mamdani is firmly committed to dedicate 1% of the city budget for parks maintenance and operations. His commitment to making New York affordable can start with parks. By investing in the care of our parks, recreation centers, pools, beaches, and public bathrooms, all free to the public, he can ensure that these spaces are equitably maintained, accessible, and thriving. He can have an outsized impact on the quality of life for every New Yorker. Similarly, the next speaker of the City Council has the opportunity to do what the City Council has not: push the administration to live up to its commitments to parks and commit itself to reversing the decades-long disinvestment in our green space. And last, the Parks Department needs to become its own best advocate. The next commissioner must speak up to the council and the administration, rather than defending itself as it has today, make clear to elected leadership, and as important to the public, that it cannot meet its goals or our expectations without necessary funding and staffing. Visiting our parks is free. They are not a luxury. They are social spaces for communities, and they are a physical reminder of the health or lack thereof of our city and its residents. If I can finish. Visionary leadership at all levels of government can allow our park system to deliver the quality of life New Yorkers crave. But talk is cheap. Investment is needed. Our platform, Parks 2030, provides the blueprint for that investment. Thank you.
Thank you. Max?
Hi, thank you, Chair Krishnan, and the rest of the Parks Committee here for City Council. Max Barton, Laborers Local
Max, can you
1010.
speak into the mic a bit more, please?
Laborers Local 1010, over 2,500 members that build New York City represent. I'm also a member of the Playfair Coalition. I was last over here testifying September 29th, 2025, Joint Contracts and Parks Committee hearing, and I was listening to Council Member Eric Botcher, who shared one example of his district was dealing with in respect to cost of capital projects when it came to these bathrooms that we're trying to maintain here. He brought up how much it would cost to renovate a restroom in DeWitt Clinton Park. I'm sure you guys are aware of this one. He eventually produced the number $6 million. And I know there have been, efforts to address these ballooning costs. We've talked about them today a little bit, and I realize these efforts are still underway, but it should not be hard to fix the problem of maintaining these structures. If you build a $6 million structure in New York City, in a park, you should be prepared to maintain your investment so that it lasts as long as humanly possible. Squeeze every usable dollar out of that thing. Without maintaining these structures, you might as well be building these restrooms solely for the purpose of flushing the taxpayers' dollars down the very same toilets that we just built. It's pretty simple. Investment in additional New York City Park staff would deliver immediate improvements. We need to use New York City tax dollars wisely. Let's create jobs for New Yorkers to maintain these investments that we've already made for them. The more you maintain, the less you have to reconstruct. That's pretty much it, but I still got 20 seconds left. So New York Parks, the Parks Department just said they can always do more with more. And you said they're not getting enough. It comes down to that. Play fair, 1%. This is really obvious, and thank you for standing up for these issues. I know you guys are on our side, and hopefully some of this testimony helps you.
Thank you both very much. Next, we have Merritt Birnbaum and Ann Lee.
Chair Krishnan and the members of the committee, thank you for holding this hearing. I'm Merritt Birnbaum, President and CEO of Riverside Park Conservancy. We partner with NYC Parks to steward 6 miles of parkland from 59th Street to 181st Street. Our park is currently home to 12 public bathrooms and 35 public drinking fountains that you heard about them from Gail Brewer earlier, but only about 10% of the facilities are at a standard that I think anyone in this room would actually want to use. The 10% I refer to are really the ones that were built with new capital dollars as part of other parks projects, as was also referenced. These are new playgrounds or our new field house. And as this hearing has shown, bathrooms and drinking fountains are the most basic pieces of our public infrastructure. They're really the foundation of our health and safety and dignity as humans. And in New York City, that infrastructure is failing because the city has asked parks to maintain them, a century-old system without the staff or the capital to do it. In Riverside, as we've heard time and again, families show up with toddlers and find the bathrooms locked in the middle of the afternoon because there's no parks worker to staff them. And when they're open, too many are barely functional. Last year, as the survey showed, Classic Playground, 8 out of the 9 urinals were out of service, or Dinosaur Playground had a broken sink and a missing toilet. These are not exotic problems and really just the most basic maintenance. But these routine fixes are not possible because there aren't enough plumbers. We don't have the boots on the ground. We need to restore and baseline parks workers and trades positions so that the bathrooms are reliably open, clean, and safe. And at the same time, we need a new capital playbook, which the council member also raised. In our parks, particularly Riverside, many of our restroom buildings haven't seen a true overhaul since the 1940s. When NYC Parks scopes out the renovations, we see the price tags in the multi-millions per bathroom, which is not sustainable. The city should launch a bundled, standardized renovation program. Think capsule-style fixtures, repetitive designs, and one contract to modernize multiple bathrooms at once so that we can bring these Robert Moses-era infrastructure into the 21st century. And do the same thing with drinking fountains, a systems-level fix. This would help us meet the 50 new park fountains by 2035. Fund the people, lower the capital costs through smart standardization, and treat the bathrooms and fountains like the core infrastructure they are. New Yorkers deserve parks where you can find a working toilet and a drink of water every day in every neighborhood. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Annie Lee, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Fort Greene Park Conservancy. Thank you to the City Council Committee on Parks and Rec and Chair Krishnan for this hearing. Fort Greene Park is heavily used throughout the year, and the current bathrooms can no longer keep up with seasonal demand. The park's bathrooms are old, difficult to maintain, and frequently require closure due to plumbing issues. In the past, the Conservancy has only needed to provide porta potties for large community events, but in recent years, we've had to purchase multiple porta potties to supplement existing bathrooms just to meet demand for regular weekend use. These challenges reflect a broader citywide issue that New York City has not provided adequate funding to repair aging restroom infrastructure or to support the staffing required to maintain these essential facilities. We strongly support the Playfair Coalition's request to allocate more funding to hire additional New York City Parks workers responsible for the cleaning, maintenance, and repair of parks facilities. These facilities are vital to public health, safety, and accessibility, but they're too often closed, unsanitary, unusable. In summary, adequate staffing and resources are necessary to repair and maintain bathrooms and drinking fountains in Fort Greene Park and in all parks across the city. Proper investment is essential to keeping these facilities open, sanitary, and safe for all who use and need them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you both for your testimony. Merritt, I just have a question for Riverside Park Conservancy. How do you think that discrepancy exists between what you all see on the ground and Councilmember Brewer's report, and then what the overall statistics are for parks? Where do you think that comes from in your experience?
Well, I do think that one of the things that the council member highlighted that and that the deputy commissioner highlighted as well, there's working, and then there's barely working. And so it's definitely degrees. We have a lot of drinking fountains, for example, where it's a half inch of water comes out of them, and they're not really usable by the majority of people. That's why I say a lot of our bathrooms are clean, and the staff really they'll pass inspection because they're clean and they're stocked with toilet paper, but nobody wants to go in them. We do surveys, and most recently, I have people saying, you know, they look like a prison. I would not want to set foot in them. I'm scared of the bathrooms in the park. Most people feel that the conditions of the infrastructure are so disgusting. It's not about the cleanliness in the case. And as you said, it can change on the ground from 1 minute to the next. But when you're missing, you know, half of a partition, or the toilet seat is gone, the bathroom might still pass inspection. But it's not a place anyone wants to go inside or use.
Thank you. It's a very important point, and I'm glad you highlighted that distinction. I think that is really at the heart of what's going on. So thank you very much for your testimony. Next up, we'll have Ralph Vasilice. I said that right? Good? Yeah? All right. Maria Kessler, Jim Burke, and Afia Henriquez. Yeah, Ralph.
Okay, get started. Good afternoon. I'd like to thank everyone for having us. My name is Ralph Basilis, DC 37. I am also a vice president for Local 983. We represent 4 park titles: the Associate Park Service Workers, the Urban Park Rangers, the Park Enforcement Patrol Officers, and the City Seasonal Aides. The one thing they all have in common is preserving free recreational passive space in New York City. Not too many things are free these days. They're charging for congestion pricing, garbage pails. The people of New York City need a place to go decompress. I can't tell you all, go spend a day in a park. Their graduation parties, their communion parties, their birthday parties. Folks that can't afford to have these parties anywhere else other than a New York City park. So Councilmember Shaker is always a strong advocate of us. We're here to promote, to challenge Mayor-elect Mandami that part of his campaign was to help out the working class folks of this city. DC 37 backed him. I'm going to challenge him to not only give us the 1% of the park's budget, give us 2% so we could keep up all these wonderful services. And I'm just scratching across the surface here. But rec centers, those 4 titles we represent are involved in the maintenance and preservance of the space where the folks go to do this. So again, free benefits to City of New Yorkers that you're paying for, that we need to beef up the budgets. And that's it. Thank you all very much for the time.
Councilmember Zhuang.
Thank you, Chair, and also thank you, our local union members. I have 2 questions. The first question is, how often you guys assign to one borough, then send to another borough? Because you told that's very often I get told there's not enough PEP officers in the summer.
Correct. There's definitely not enough PEP officers. I'm a PEP sergeant by title for the last 20 years. The numbers the commissioner touched upon were more or less accurate. I'd say it's more along the lines of 200, 250 citywide. But you are permanently assigned to a borough. Once you're there, you're permanently assigned. You can be temporary detailed out for 120 days. Let's say, for example, if another borough, if you're in Queens and Brooklyn has a big event, they could temporarily detail people for the length of that event, whether it's 10 days, 20 days, 30 days. They cannot detail you contractually more than 120 days. So her numbers were pretty accurate, but I'd say it's leaning more towards 200, 250, and the 100 that you folks all helped us get, Joe Pulio lobbied for. She's correct. During the process, I'm supposed to be at the Academy the first week of December because they have to hire those 100 park enforcement officers, urban park rangers who I have sitting behind me. They have to be hired by January 1st. So those 2 classes, they're forcing them in. So we should have an additional 100 by next year.
Ideally, how many PEP officer and park rangers you think it's enough?
Council member, at least 100.
Another additional 100 more.
Per borough, at least. You know, when I first started, there was 1 command. Now, Queens, we have a Flushing Meadows command. We have a Rockaway Beach Command. We have a Forest Park Command. In Brooklyn, we have Prospect Park. We have Coney Island. These are year-round commands now. Well, those were never year-round commands, but again, there's folks at the beaches. God forbid someone, drowns in the wintertime. Believe it or not, people go swimming. We're the first line of defense. And I'm just, again, scratching along the surface, giving an example. But easily 100 per borough, 150 per borough.
So totally in New York City, at least 500.
Easily.
At least.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Ralph. And to clarify too, I mean, you're talking about at least 500 full-time staff, right? I mean, that's the key issue here. It's not, we can't just keep relying on a seasonal workforce. We need full-time lines of employment too, correct? And do you, I know there was some testimony from the Parks Foreman too about the historical context of, PEP, for example, and Urban Park Rangers before, how it started out. But it seems to me, even if the numbers started out small back in the 80s or when PEP was first created, the needs in our parks are only growing more and more every single day. And even if it's a big jump up from what the historical reason was in the past, the fact of the matter is right now to keep up with all the needs in our parks, to keep them clean, safe, to take care of our natural areas too, we've got to invest a lot more in our PEP and Urban Park Rangers. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Absolutely, Council Member. The Parks Department is constantly getting new.
Oh, into the mic, Robson.
They're constantly getting more property, whether it's being donated, where it's being given. So you need folks to preserve and protect your investment. And that's what the PEP officers do. They're peace officers, they write summonses. And not to mention, not to go off topic, all these vendors, these are big contracts, these vendors in Central Parks. They pay a lot of money for these permits to the agency, to the city. And they're constantly complaining to us because there's illegal vendors everywhere. And park enforcement officers also can summons illegal vendors and minimize the damage being done to people paying, I can't even imagine what, for a permit to sell peanuts in Central Park. I can't imagine what that costs these days, but this is all revenue that needs to be protected. Other agencies have it, they protect their investment. So yes, absolutely, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Now, next we'll have Maria Kessler.
Hi. Thank you for allowing me to testify today, Chair of Parks Christian and other council members. I'm the executive director of Esplanade Friends. We represent 3 miles of the East River Esplanade from 60th to 120th Streets. Esplanade Friends joins in supporting increased New York City Parks funding to repair damaged restrooms, install restrooms in areas with no public access, and maintain restrooms for an equitable city ensuring public health, safety, and dignity. Along this 3-mile stretch of the Esplanade, there are actually no restrooms. We use adjacent restrooms. So let me highlight the 3 specific restrooms that we use. The first one is 24 Sycamores Park, which is at East 60th to East 61st Streets on York Avenue.
I'm sorry to interrupt. How far? Can you also mention how far each of those adjacent restrooms are?
It's about 2 blocks. 2 blocks. This bathroom is regularly been closed for repair with porta potties as replacement, but the porta potties have become the current standard. This specific location is the closest available public bathroom to Andrew Haswell Green Park, where the Esplanade Friends provides periodic public events and outings attended by hundreds of people of all ages who frequent the East River Esplanade. The repaired bathrooms are needed to provide a safe environment. The second one is Stanley Isaac's Playground at East 95th to 97th Street along the FDR Drive. So that's about a block, less than a block. Regular bathrooms at Stanley Isaac's Playground have been out of order frequently for long periods of time, and most recent inspections by the New York City Parks, as of July 25th, 2025, rated this as unacceptable. The last stretch, 97th Street to 120th Streets, there are actually no bathrooms currently adjacent to the East River Esplanade in East Harlem, nor are there any plans to install any. This stretch of the Esplanade is home to frequent fishing, biking, walking, and outings with no place to go when nature calls. Perhaps the good people of East Harlem don't need bathrooms along the Esplanade. The East River Esplanade is a place for fresh air and a vital part of the Manhattan Greenway. These bathrooms are needed to sustain every day, to sustain us every day and events with our community, as well as every day for groups with developmental disabilities, certain persons with medical challenges, parents, and guardians of children. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. And then Jim Burke, followed by Fia Enriquez.
My name is Jim Burke. I'm the co-founder of 34th Avenue Open Streets Coalition. It's 26 blocks of open space that Shekhar Krishna is well aware of.
I know it a little bit.
And we have a ton of volunteers that help us provide services all along that stretch. And we normally do it right in the middle and at the end because it's adjacent to two public parks, hoping that those bathrooms will be available to us. Often, you wouldn't want your worst enemy to go in on them sometimes. And that's why there's a big disconnect between what's technically working or not working. Now, granted, in the morning, if you get there in the morning and they're open on time, they are clean, but they're not maintained. And this is throughout the city. I'm just speaking to my most frequent experience because we have a lot of seniors that need to use the bathrooms. Imagine they're out there in the cold, in the winter, distributing clothing, distributing food, helping people learn English, and there's no clean bathrooms available. And it's really unconscionable. Same with in the summer. It's 90 degrees, and the water fountain may technically turn on, for instance, the Northern Playground, but you're not going to put your mouth on that, right? So by technically working and actually working are two different things. And I'm urging the parks to look at it differently, maybe come up under certain other metrics. We have performers that come and do shows on our street for cultural performances. We usually have to ask a building super if we could use their basement bathroom. It's too embarrassing to send them to one of our local bathrooms because it's late at the day and it might not be usable. And just one last thing. What do you mean the bathrooms close earlier in the winter? Some people have to go to the bathroom after 4 p.m. Could we acknowledge that that's an issue? And it's all about dignity, right? These are outdoor workers. These are our vendors. These are people who deliver our food. All of these people who work in our buildings, they need outdoor it's really a human right, a dignity. And this is a really, really important topic, hence the reason I've been out here for hours and wanting to testify. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for your testimony, Jim. Very well said. Fia Enriquez?
Hi, thank you for having me and for holding this meeting. And I just want to piggyback off of what Jim said. I am actually one of those outdoor workers. I am a licensed sightseeing guide. And I'm here on behalf of my little project I'm doing called Taste of Waste NYC. I have a social media page where I try to inform people about waste. But this hits close to home for me because just last week I had a group of elderly people. They needed to use the bathroom. There was only one available at Starbucks. The line was long. I took them to a Parks Department bathroom in Battery Park. It was closed. It's still closed now. It's been closed for weeks. I don't know why. I took them to Castle Clinton. Castle Clinton was being cleaned. So we had to go deep into the park to another bathroom. And I don't know if you've seen Battery Park, but it's under construction now for climate resiliency. But this was a very long walk for elderly people, and we were already on a walking tour. So I spent a lot of time outside, and New York has always had a waste problem. I became aware of it in 2020 when I learned about combined sewer overflows. I live near Jamaica Bay. I got really obsessed with the bay because we had so much free time. And I grew up in the shadow of a landfill. And we are actually in the shadow of a lost lake called the Collect. that people polluted until the point that it had to be filled in. And here in New York, we're always sweeping waste under the rug when it comes to the land and also when it comes to people. I mean, in America, we call it the restroom. But we all know we don't go there to rest. We don't even want to say what we do there, right? It's too embarrassing. So maybe I don't know about the water fountains, but I have had, the experience of going and trying to get water, and it was extremely warm on a hot day. So thank you for having me. I don't want to take up too much time, but I just want to close out with a land acknowledgement because we are in a place where there used to be a lake that nourished people that was polluted beyond recognition. We occupy the traditional territory of the Canarsie and Munsee Lenape, now called New York City. We acknowledge these indigenous custodians of the place in which we live, work, and play. While colonization has largely extirpated these peoples, we recognize their continuing connection to the land, water, and community, and we pay respect to elders past, present, and emerging. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. I appreciate this panel very much. Thank you. Now we've got two more on Zoom. First up is Jennifer Sita.
You may begin.
Thank you so much for letting me testify today. My name is Jennifer Seda, and I'm a volunteer program assistant at the Bronx River Alliance. We host hundreds of events and volunteer stewardship days in parks along the Bronx River, engaging over 5,000 community members yearly in our work. And we've seen that the lack of clean, working public bathrooms and drinking fountains make whole sections of parkland inaccessible and even dangerous for our community members and our volunteers. We've heard from numerous families that they avoid the Olinville Playground and Shoelace Park because of the bathrooms are often closed more than they are open. We've also seen firsthand that out-of-service bathrooms lead to dirtier parks, and limited hours of public restrooms in Starlight Park lead to parks itself being used as bathrooms, which is an additional safety hazard for community members and a huge maintenance burden on under-resourced park staff. These unacceptable conditions are an environmental justice. So we are asking New York City to please increase New York City Parks funding to repair these damaged restrooms and drinking fountains and hire additional staff to maintain facilities and extend open hours. These facilities are critical infrastructure for accessible and equitable, ensuring public health, safety, and dignity. Thank you so much for letting me testify today. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. And next we have Christopher Leon Johnson.
Hello, Mr. Shekar Christian. My name is Christopher Leon Johnson. I am here to say that, look, the problem with the parks is that, look, there's a lot of homeless people in the park. There's a lot of vagrants in the park, and the Parks Department cannot control what those people and those guys and gals do, especially when a city council and incoming mayor administration where they're going to defend the homeless to the core. I just saw the transition committee, and that transition committee is so woke to expect this to be changing with the next mayor for even if you give 1% to the parks, it's not going to change. They completely added Dana Rashland to the committee for public safety, which is a joke for the transition committee, where she is completely responsible for the increase of crime in Brownsville. You mean to tell me that you expect these people in the transition committee to really fix the parks in the next mayor administration, Shekar? Come on, man, you gotta be real, man. It's not gonna happen next year in next administration. But what needs to start happening now is that they need to pass Intro 1332, protect the liveristas. But like I said before, which will help them with the parks when they use the parks, so they don't get fired from using the bathroom. They need to use the bathroom from these dirty apps. Like I said, Mr. Chair, look, that transition committee for the parks is a joke, and that is like 2026 will be the biggest disaster I'm gonna see, because this whole transition committee is
Mr. Johnson, sorry to interrupt. If you can focus more on the issue about the parks bathrooms, I'd appreciate that.
I know it's on kind of topic, bro. I'm just saying, like, 1% for the parks. I support the 1% of the parks, but unless you, as a chair, Mr. Shekar, really check this transition team for next year, you could give 1%, 0.5%, or 0.01% to the parks. You're gonna still have the same problems in the Madani administration. So that's what's going to happen. Like I said, I support New York NY4P with their initiative of 1% for the parks and 1% for the parks.
Your time has expired. Thank you for your testimony.
Yeah, that's all I gotta say. You
Thank-
gotta check that. You gotta check that transition team, man. Thank you, man.
Thank you very
Appreciate it.
much, Ms. Johnson. Appreciate it.
Later.
All right. Now, I think that concludes all our testimony, both live and in person. Both live and virtual. We appreciate you all coming out today. In closing, I would just say it is crucial that we have the investments that we need in our parks, at a very basic level to make sure that the basic essential facilities we have are working in our parks. And I want to thank everyone who came out to testify today. Thank you to the Parks Department for working with us and as we highlight these issues, and we'll continue to work on it as a New York City Council. Thank you all so much. This hearing is now closed.